Welcome to the Tim Johnson Show, located in Grand Blanc, Michigan. I got three special guests here with me today. Attorney Tabitha Marsh, Mr. Richard Jones, and one special guest by phone, Mr. Ed Pinckney. And actually, we're going to let Mr. Jones actually run this today. He's going to be our co-host. He want to talk. He want to bring some real talk to the community. So, Mr. Jones, take it.
Thank you, Chief Johnson. It was a pleasure to be here, and thank you, Mr. Pinckney, for calling in. And Tabitha Marsh, I talked to a lot of people, so they want to hear from you. So, and me and you have talked in the past, so some of your experience, because this was originally set up to be a town hall, but being that we are in this social distancing situation, we're doing the best we can. And the issue is, I have been dealing with a lot of parents who have kids that are currently incarcerated. And the message that I want to send out is that when these people are doing crimes, it's two circles that are involved. It's not two people, it's two circles. And we have Mr. Pinckney on the phone explaining that this is a systematic thing that's going on. It's not just something that started today. This is something that was going on before our grandparents, as far as us pitting each other against each other. And another problem that is going on, we already got police brutality against blacks. We already got whites against blacks, and we got blacks against blacks. So if we can just work on this issue as far as getting the blacks to start getting along and to mend these wounds that are deep, because it's a lot going on. I have been talking to people, it's a lot going on. And Ms. Marsh, I want to start with you, because I feel there's something that's going on mentally with some of these people that are committing some of these crimes. And I'll give you a prime example. My friend Duper was killed. And some of the people that was telling me about the person that did the killing, that 2 weeks ago he was showing signs that something was wrong with him. So, and I know you have represented a lot of parents whose kids had done something that got them in trouble, that led them to your office, and I would just like for you to enlighten us on some of those experiences as far as to help derail some of these kids that are not in that lane yet. Because I'm going to say one more thing. I do a lot of juvenile detention work. I talk to the juveniles in the detention center. And when I talk to them, I ask them, is the crime that you're doing something that you just thought of, or is it something that you watched and grew into? And all of the time it's something that is learned. It's always, no man, it ain't natural, it's just that it's just learned. And they all told me that they have a gut feeling inside of them that say this is wrong, don't do it, but yet too many people are just willing to ignore that gut feeling and do wrong. So if you could just enlighten some of these kids for me.
Well, on the issue of mental health, the problem that we have in our society is that we marginalize it and we don't legitimize it. You have sayings like, oh, they're cuckoo, this person is crazy. You know, those are the type of things that we grew up hearing. And so then people think that it's wrong to have a mental health issue, where, in my opinion, having a mental health issue is no different than having a physical health issue. Just as someone doesn't ask to have Crohn's disease or fibromyalgia or cancer, you don't ask to have those type of things. You also don't ask to have anxiety or depression or schizophrenia or to be a manic depressant. Those are things that happen, but it's not because it's that person's fault that they got it. It's just they were born that way, and sometimes there are environments that create anxiety and things like that. But we need to understand that if you have a mental health issue, it's okay. It's okay to get some help. It's okay to be honest about your issue is. Just as if you have cancer, you might decide to go get some treatment for your cancer. If you have some type of mental health issue, you should go get some help for your mental health condition, because I represent a lot of people, and substance abuse is an issue for a lot of the people that I represent in the criminal arena. Mental health issue is just as prevalent for the clients that I have had. The majority of the clients that I have represented in the criminal law arena have some type of mental health issue. So it's sometimes a underlying issue that hasn't been dealt with that leads a person into the on the other side of a criminal case and having criminal history and being involved in the criminal justice system. So we need to understand and tell people that it's okay if you have a problem, and it's okay to go get some help, because it's not your fault. It's okay to get help when you need it.
Okay.
But I can, if I can add something to that, and you just nailed it, to be honest with you, Attorney Marsh. The sad part about it is our system is not equipped to deal with that type of population that's actually going into the county jail and the state prisons. And believe it or not, that's a large part of who end up in prison, because they was not understood out in the public realm, if you understand what I'm trying to say. They wasn't understood, so they and they ended up in the criminal justice system because they really didn't pick up that they had a mental problem before they actually pushed them into the criminal justice system, instead of actually diverting them to where they could have gotten help and maybe went in a different direction. So our system, and I was reading somewhere just recently where it was saying that's a large population of what our prisons and county jails hold, is people who has those kind of problems, and the help out there for them is kind of slow in coming. Our system is not caught up with as far as adjusting to be able to deal with people that got mental health problems, and that's a major problem in our community as a whole. And I think that one more thing that you had made a mention of about the family, about how when crime is committed and it don't just affect, the person who was actually shot or killed, and it doesn't. It affects his family, his mother, father, sister, brother, everybody down his family line who loved him. But it also affects the person who did the homicide or did the crime, because that person's family is affected, his mother and father and sister, brother. Now they're worried about him because he's on his way into the criminal justice system. So it actually affects it affects both families, So it has so that's something that we really need to take a serious look at, and I think that's really going to start in the community. You can't say in the home, because it's way above the home now. This is something that's got to be started. It's got to come. We got to come up with some type of help in the community to help families like that that would keep our kids away from from just taking up that kind of attitude that I'm going to go out here and hurt somebody because they wronged me. And that wrong could have been just a simple wrong, but somebody lost their life over it because they wronged me. And I tell you, and it's not just the person that ended up losing their life. It's not just him. It's everybody that's affected. Their life is actually just devastated by whether they was the victim or the person who did the crime.
No, I definitely agree with that. My youngest brother was murdered in Flint several years ago, and it has had devastating and lasting impacts on our family. And in our situation, like my mom, she lost her baby boy, and it was very senseless. The whole situation made absolutely no sense. But you have the kids of the offender and the victim that are impacted, because now I have a nephew who doesn't have a father.
Wow.
So now we as a family are trying to, try to rally around him to alleviate the impact of him not having a father. But at the end of the day, we can't do it complete justice, because I can't be his father. My mom and dad can't be his father. He had one father. Right. And so it's lasting impacts. I mean, our lives will never be the same. And they haven't been the same ever since.
It's almost, how did we come to this door where life just means nothing no more? And I mean the way they're killing each other, it's nothing. Life means nothing no more. And we got to get over that threshold and bring some sense to it. Make sense of what's going on in our community, because it's in our community, and it's not somebody coming in here hurting us. We're hurting our own selves. That's not Mr. So-and-so, that could have been my brother, mother, whoever down the street that just lost their life. So it's not like we're on the Martians on the moon somewhere. This is right here in our own neighborhood.
Absolutely.
So
And let me say this. Today I had a conversation with a young lady who I've been knowing for many years. Her son was when he was 6 and 7 years old. He was like, he calling his mama names and
right.
and she thought it was cute.
my mother would
You
have
know,
killed
and I explained to her. I said he needs help. I said you need to take him and get him some help. And she said no. He said he's gonna be out there. I'm telling you right now, he needs some help. Years ago,
it's
this
cute.
kid went out and killed somebody.
Yeah, it's
And like I told her, during that period of time, there's nothing wrong with getting help.
Right.
If you need help, your son needs help, go get it. Here's something a lot of people don't know. When a person get out of prison, he should immediately get help.
That's true.
Because what they do, they break you down to your lowest term.
Yep.
You know, everything you do inside the prison system is the great. They make you put bed at a certain time. The lights is off at a certain time. If you go for a visit somewhere, they strip you down butt naked, look all up your butthole and everything. They do all this. And now, when it brings me back to this young lady whose son, he's in his 20s, and he's never going to see daylight again. And I told him, I told him and her, I told him that he needed help. I said, there's nothing wrong with going out asking for help.
Right.
If you need help, go see a psych. Go get some therapy. Do what you need to do because it's going to reflect on your children even more than you because you're at that different age. Never ever allow your children to disrespect you on that level, especially at that age. Because this is what's going to happen. He's sitting in prison right today.
Yep.
And
he's going to be there for the rest of his life.
And right now, Mr. Pinckney, some of these parents, they are very, very concerned with their children contracting coronavirus while they are locked up.
If you let me hit on that just for a second.
Okay.
Coldwater, over 800 people. It's 1,400 people at Coldwater. Over 800 of them has the virus. You can't. There's no such thing as separation inside the prison system.
No, it's not.
Right.
It's not even possible for you to have separation. You can't even get 3 feet from a person because when you're sleeping in the bunk, there's a top bunk, a lower bunk, and then they got a total of 8 people in like they call it a queue. And you're almost breathing in someone's face. So here's the deal. Over 25 people have died from Coldwater. And the sad part about this thing, when you die with that virus inside the prison system, the family cannot get the body. You see, this is, let's say, and then you can't go to the hospital and see them. You can't talk to them. Like if a person like in Detroit, if they had the virus, you can, they'll let you talk to them over the phone and stuff like that. Not there. You don't get that. This young man died, and when he died, the first thing they said was that you can't get the body. They wanted to have a regular funeral for him. They wanted to, so people could view the body. They said absolutely not. There's no way that, only thing that you can do is pay for the cremation if that's what you want to do. Other than that, you'll never see the body again. And that's the prison system. I got a call from Lapeer where they said is running rapid there, and nobody seems to care. But I care. I care about these people. I don't care what they have done. I still care because I think people can be saved.
And no one was sentenced to death.
All of us to work on it. So yeah, absolutely, we need to do something. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. It's really up to the people that's outside, rather than the people on the inside. But when they get it out, we got to make sure that they get counseling. You see, that's one of the problems where I think the prison system has failed. When you leave that prison system, you should be set up with someone who can give you therapy and everything else to get you right so you can be welcomed back into the world.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're on your way back there. And it's really just that simple. You're on your way back. If they don't ever build you back up, you're going to be always be a broken person.
Thank you. That was very touching, and I hope the right people is listening to this. The reason why I'm doing this is I want to talk to the ones that are actually out here doing these crimes. I have been a part of a lot of stop the violent rallies, and I'm saying to myself while I'm outside sweating, like, these people at home sleep. They waiting till 12 o'clock to come out at night. They not paying no attention to us.
Not getting the message.
Yeah, they're not paying no attention to us. So that's the reason why I'm taking this approach. I also have a young man named Gemini that he served some time, and now he's trying to redeem himself, and he's helping me on my mission. I want to take this nationwide. I want to go nationwide with these stories that y'all are telling me, and letting people know that it's not just you. If you need help, get some help. If you know somebody that needs some help, talk to them the right way. And I want to get back to you, Chief Johnson, because I have another problem that's going on. I feel that these people need to, I'm walking in stores and you got guns sticking out of people's chests up this high and stuff, and they got the right to carry them. I'm like, this ain't, and some of these people need to have a mental examination along with not criminal history before they give these people these guns, because there's a lot of people out here without a criminal history that's about to get a criminal history because they don't have the mental capacity to be even carrying these guns, but yet they have permits.
Well, Michigan is a gun carrying state, and from there it went to an open carry, which even made it a lot easier. As long as the weapon is not concealed, the citizens have the right to carry that weapon in that manner. And what you're talking about is actually doing some gun legislation. It's going to take a little bit of that to increase the I don't want to call it testing, but to get it to where people will be have to have another process to go through to make sure they don't have any kind of mental disabilities or they was diagnosed with having some type of mental disability, and in that case they wouldn't be able to carry a gun. And I believe, right, as a matter of fact, I'm almost sure that's on the application as we speak. But whether or not they're checking the people to see if they have them, that's definitely probably not happening. You know, I think you just go down and put in for your CCW. If you got a clean record, you'll get it.
Give you a gun.
You'll get it. So definitely, I would think that they need more testing to make sure that people actually don't have these type of or have never been diagnosed with a mental illness or anything like that. But it's really all about safety. The state went to Michigan being a gun carrying state, and then, like I said, then they made it even easier to open carry, where you didn't have to have a CCW or a CPL, and right now that would have to be changed in Lansing before we can enforce any laws like that.
But I think that a lot of the crimes that happen are people illegally carrying the guns, and so there's no screening that's going to be done that's going to eliminate someone from illegally carrying a gun and harming someone. But I think the broader issue is as Chief Johnson, you touched on the value of human life. I think within in the value of Black human life.
Yeah.
I think that institutionally, systematically, throughout history, there's been a devaluing of the human life for Black people, and we do it within our own community. And we see law enforcement doing it to us. We see the criminal justice system doing it to us, because somewhere along the way, it was put out there that Black people have less value than other races. And so what we need to do is stress the importance of valuing human life. If you're quick to pick up a gun and shoot someone and take their life, then you don't value human life. Now, it's different if it's self-defense and all of that, but if you, I think the problem is we have succumbed, as black people, we have succumbed to the idea that black lives don't matter, that taking the life of a black person means nothing. And maybe to no fault of our own, I'm not sure, but because history has said our lives don't matter. So we get that in our head, and so we think it's okay to kill another black person. I think we need to rewire the way that our people think, the way that our young people think, and understand that there is value in every life, regardless of your race, regardless of your gender, regardless of your religious background. Every life has value. Yeah. And I think if our young people, if people would understand how valuable human life is, we may not be so quick to take it from somebody else.
You know, I totally agree. I totally agree, Tabitha. The thing about it, the way I look at it, when even when a police officer takes a person's life, like what we've been seeing was, I think it was down in, was it Minnesota? Yeah. Yes. You know, sad, and shame on that police department, shame on that police officer for that. There was no need, you know, for that to happen, okay. Especially when somebody's telling you that he can't breathe. But when it happens in our community, when it's a black on black crime, and who I don't hear anybody hollering. I don't hear nobody out there hollering, and I'm talking about from and I tell you, it happens every day. It's occurring in our community, and nobody's hollering. And when I say nobody, I mean none of the black people who hollers when the police do it, but we're doing it to our own selves, and at a higher rate.
Yeah. And Chief, I don't mean to cut you off, but I gotta commend you. You have had conversations, and you have told me that you have served how many years? 40 years? About 40 years. And how many shootings have you had?
Just one.
Just one. Where you unarmed someone
without
killing them.
That's correct.
I commend you for that. You need to be commended.
Absolutely. I commend them for that also. And, you know, I kind of like understand the problem with us, but I believe that we have to go all the way back to the root of the problem, you know, and especially with our young folks. I think one of the things that the language that we use got to change. The way we bring our children up got to change.
That's a big one.
And the way we talk about things that's going on got to change. Yeah. Also, we as adults, we have to stand up for what is right. That's right. See, a lot of times, our children see us doing stuff, and they know it's wrong. We know it's wrong, but we do it right in front of them, and that's why they think that they're able to get away with a lot of stuff. So we have to start teaching our children the right way of doing things, and we have to stand together. See, I always believe that there's strength in numbers. I believe that. I believe that if they thought for 1 second that the black communities was together, a lot of this shooting could not happen. But one thing they know about us, we run fast, but we do not run long. You see, we'll get all excited the night of the killing, and then we go home and sleep about it. It's somebody else's family, we stop caring. But we got to change the way we're doing business, the way we're doing things, because there's so much we can do that we have not done. I don't want to see another police killing. I don't want to do that. I don't want to see that. But it's going to continue until we unify and come together, because I definitely believe that there's strength in numbers. I think you can do so much. And I'm a perfect example of the strength in numbers. You know, because people, I'm known all over the world almost. And people come to my aid when we have a protest, whatever we have, they show up. Yeah. But on that note, I'll let somebody else on the floor.
You talked about the strength and unity, and that when a shooting happens, it's a big deal that night, but you go to sleep that night, and the next day, because it was somebody else's family member, it's no longer an issue. Well, when we start to see that what affects you affects me,
there you go.
Then you won't think that it's somebody else's family.
Talk.
You realize this is my family, this is my community, because we are one.
That's real talk.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So if something is going down at your house, it's not going to be too long before that same thing is at my house.
That's real talk.
So when we see that we are really one and that we're all connected, then what happens to you affects me.
There you go.
When you're hurting, I'm hurting. When you're down, I'm down. We're only as strong as our weakest link. And so I think that's another paradigm shift that we need to have as a community is it's not you versus me, your house versus my house. Your house is my house. My house is your house.
There you go.
We're one because we're all connected.
There you go. Yeah, I totally agree. And I tell you, man, I lost my train of thought. When we in our community, when I sit here and I listen to the young brothers and sisters, and it used to be young brothers and sisters, now it's the old brothers and sisters calling each other bitches. You know, that's my bitch, and I'm talking about female to female, and I ain't talking about. I'm talking about that's just a nickname that those are my bitches, or you know, instead of those are my girls, those are my bitches. You know, it's such a disrespect for each other out there now, and kids everywhere, they're hearing it, because that's the normal talk in a household, and a lot of homes in our community, that's normal talk. You know, and they don't understand that the devastation that they're causing those kids that's coming up in that home. Because now they're looking at their little brothers and sisters and their friends as bitches and you know, whatever you want to call them, and it's like that's what's really tearing down the fiber in our family. And I tell you, the old folks wouldn't have had it. And I heard you say something about somebody mentioned something about mother or what the mother would do. My mother would have killed me.
Man.
My father wouldn't have had to get home. My mother would have beat the snot out of me. You know, and it's just a shame that we have gotten so far away from that it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So
I have experienced parents that take up for their kids knowing that their kids are wrong and lying to them, knowing that their kids have committed whatever they have been accused of.
That's the wrong part.
And and you done seen it too, and they come up and they go broke. It's a lot, and then we just need to do better. That the bottom line is we just need to do better. We just need to care. We just need to care.
As a society, since society has actually accepted so much of this stuff, this is not going to change in your household. It's not going to change in my household. It's going to take a society to actually come together, a community to come together and make this change. It's going to have to be a we thing and not a me thing. One person's not going to be able to go out there and change this, and you know, this will be a heck of a fight for just one person or just a group of people to take on upon themselves. But as a community, if the community as a whole, what goes on in that community it only goes on because it's allowed. It's allowed. You know, so if the community come together and stop it and say this is it, this is enough, I'm done. You know, that's when you're going to see changes being made. That's when you're going to see. And it's not a word about no drive-by, because if you got to get to Mr. Jones' house before you get to my house, and you come flying down my street and you're trying to target his home, then the whole community should be out there in the uproar dealing with you before you make it out of that community. That's how it should be.
Just like those neighborhoods are that with those gates in them that they asking us what we're doing there.
Yeah, I didn't want to put it like that, but that's what I'm talking about. But that's community trying to stick up for that community.
Right.
That's what we need to do in our own community. That's what we need to do.
Because they value their community.
There you go.
There's so much we can do, but we just have to get out here and do it. You see, and stop complaining so much.
There you go.
You see, the way I look at
Complain,
things,
but we don't make a difference.
we can do whatever we want to do if we get out here and do it.
Right.
You see, we can stop these killings and everything else, even in our own community, black on black crime. We can do that. We can do it. Like, you know, in my community, they know there's not going to be any dope deal in my community. They already know that. And because matter of fact, when they move in, I tell them from the start, there will be no dope dealer in my community.
Okay.
I call the police.
Mr. Pinckney, we about to run out of time, but I really appreciate you calling in. Tabitha Marsh, you're going to make a very beautiful judge. That's the reason why I called you in here. I've talked to you personally. I don't be around people that I don't want to. And Chief Johnson, I want to thank you for everything. And thanks all of our listeners. And we'll be doing this again soon. And